This is the After Party, live with Kim McAllister. Pick a couch, grab a drink, and settle into the conversation.
It's hump day! Hello and welcome to the After Party Live. Kim McAllister with you. We're fresh off the Nikki Maduro show and the Mark Thompson show. Tomorrow's going to be a really good Mark Thompson show. We've got a pair of authors set to be on the show. They have a book about assembling, Assembling America? It'll be interesting. There's two of them that are coming, and so it's going to be a great conversation, along with, of course, David Katz, and so much going on in the legal world right now to talk about as well. But we've got a lot of good stories for the after party, too. Thank you for being here. Thank you for waiting. Thank you for clicking the like button, if you could do that, and for subscribing if you haven't. So appreciated, and for always contributing to the show and helping out and making sure that I am able to continue doing it. You guys are super, super, super awesome. All right, let's get into the stories right now because we've got a lot of things to discuss. Among them, how about this one? It is about the miracle of coffee. Yeah, you could say it's a Coachella Valley coffee story if you wanted to, or just coffee in general. They're calling coffee a miracle drink, and experts say it has many health benefits. And you know what's interesting? Is sometimes you'll see a study like, oh, coffee is bad for you in this way and that way. Too much coffee is toxic. And then you'll see another study, coffee is the best thing ever. Coffee's a miracle. This is a miracle. They say to consider coffee a mini Mediterranean diet, that the health benefits of this beverage that so many people start their day with outweigh any potential risk. So, they say the Mediterranean diet is primarily a plant-based diet, and coffee is a plant-based drink. This researcher, his name is Stephen Safe, and he's an expert in cancer prevention. He says, he's from Texas A&M University at College Station. He said, if you compare the benefits of coffee to those of the Mediterranean diet, you could hardly tell the difference between them. So they reviewed this. It was a peer-reviewed study of coffee, and they found the group, including SAFE and the folks from the biochemistry and biophysics team at Texas A&M, that coffee consumption can help reduce a person's risk for certain types of cancers, as well as type 2 diabetes, Parkinson's disease, and dementia. And SAFE said, drinking coffee has been shown to help people live longer. He says he's a big proponent and he drinks a lot of it. He said 5 or 6 double espressos every day. I thought that much caffeine was bad for your heart. I don't know. But he says it's a miracle drink, much like aspirin is a miracle drug. And here's why. He said, contrary to popular opinion, the overwhelming majority of research suggests that coffee consumption is linked with a number of key health benefits. And that is lowering the risk of type 2 diabetes by 22%. People who consumed more than 60 cups of coffee per month, or more than 2 cups a day, were found to have nearly 70% lower risk of liver cancer, nearly 50% lower risk for colon and breast cancer, nearly 30% lower risk for thyroid cancer. This according to a study out of 2021. He said it's because coffee contains many of the same chemical ingredients found in the elements of the Mediterranean diet, which has also been found to reduce risks of cancer. So one of the biggest benefits compared with drinkers of non-coffee like myself, but coffee drinkers have an up to 30% lower risk of developing Parkinson's disease. That according to a study out of 2002. A diet that included coffee found to reduce the risk for certain neurologic diseases, including dementia. That study was published last year. So apparently, given options in terms of beverages, coffee is probably one of the better choices that you could make. And as far as the caffeine risk, researchers say it increases the metabolism of fats in the body, which may add to the drink's health benefits. And so, coffee can also lead to improved mood and reduced risk for depression as well. While caffeine doesn't necessarily lead to worsening anxiety or increase a person's risk for heart disease, including irregular heartbeat and high blood pressure, they say the person who is stressed out and drinking a lot of coffee may have other issues. So that's what they're saying there. But they found in 2023 analysis of data from 32 studies, no significant association between coffee consumption and heart disease. That said, drinking too much coffee can lead to heart palpitations and possibly insomnia, worsen symptoms in men with enlarged prostate for urination type of issues. So you have to be careful. But there you go. If you love coffee and you are worried that you're drinking too much of it, some researchers say you're good to go. Keep on going. Let's talk about this green python. It's a really pretty animal. I just wouldn't want it anywhere near me. And I must say, if I saw it outside my house, I'm not pleased. No. But animal rescuers in Indiana did catch one of these snakes right outside somebody's house. The Westfield Police Department called it a slithery surprise. It was found on Bailey Circle. The Exotic Animal Rescue and Pet Sanctuary was called out to collect what's believed to be a large Burmese python. They said it was kind of blending in with some greenery right outside the home. But now it's being cared for by the sanctuary. And they post a picture on social media, getting very clever with it, saying, "If this guy belongs to you, please call." Somebody's pet. Has to be somebody's pet, right? Yeah. I would say I would be freaking out a little bit if I'm seeing that thing outside my house. No, thank you. Nope. Okay, so there's this lady. This is the cutest lady. She's 108 years old. And they ask her, why do you think you've lived so long? What's going on with you? And she says, well, I do flirt with men who have mustaches, and I think there's something to it. I don't know. Maybe get the juices flowing all the time. Maybe there's something going on with her. But she's very cute. And let's take a look at her. She's from Alabama. Her name is Helen Denmark, and she just turned 108 years old on Sunday.
Alabama woman celebrating a major milestone of a birthday. Helen Denmark from Birmingham turned 108 years old this week. Her actual birthday was Sunday, but her friends and caregivers at Brookdale Assisted Living threw her a big bash on Monday. Helen says she feels no different than when she was 107.
Well, I feel all right. I'll be here when I'm 110.
Helen says she stays young by drinking wine, eating dessert, and flirting with men with mustaches.
It's one way to do it. I don't know if that's a one-size-fits-all approach. But good for her, 108. It's quite the milestone.
Yeah.
Flirting with men with mustaches. I love her. She's so cute. Yes. I mean, if you don't have joy, then you're probably, I don't know, maybe it gives her something to live for. How'd you feel being the next guy that comes through with a mustache into the nursing home? Helen Denmark's coming for you. This is a concerning story. The human plague has returned, and sometimes we'll see one of these stories every few years. Well, it's back, and this time out of Colorado. So the Colorado health officials are confirming that there is a case of the human plague. And, when you hear it, it's a little scary. But I don't necessarily think it's going to be so widespread. Here's what it looks like scientifically. Kind of creepy looking, although a lot of things are creepy looking. And there it is. Yeah, Colorado health officials confirming a case of human plague. It occurred in Pueblo County, and they first reported preliminary results on Friday. They're still trying to track down the source of this infection. They say the plague can be successfully treated with antibiotics, but you've got to get to this person fast to avoid serious complications or death. So they're saying at this point, Everyone should try to protect themselves and their pets from the plague. It's not the first case of plague in Colorado. They had 67 reported cases between 1970 and 2022. There are about 7 cases of human plague reported in the United States every year. It's a plague vaccine did exist, but apparently is no longer available in the United States. There's new plague vaccines in development. They're not expected to be commercially available in the immediate future. It's an infectious disease typically spread by fleas. This is the same plague we once called the Black Death. It killed millions of people in Europe in the Middle Ages, but it often circulates among wild rodents. And sometimes when people come into contact with the, rat droppings or what have you, there's a risk that the plague could transmit to humans as well. So typical plague symptoms, in case you think you have the plague. You wonder if you're a hypochondriac and then you actually have the plague, right? Typical symptoms include sudden fever, chills, severe headache, muscle aches, nausea, vomiting, and commonly swollen lymph nodes with pain, which is weird because those symptoms could be anything. So how do you know whether you have the plague or whether you just have a cold or whether you've, need to fight off COVID or whatever? So here's how they're asking people to take precautions. These are the things you can do not to get the plague. And it seems so ridiculous to talk about it because, really, what's the risk? It's very, very rare. But okay, we're armed with the information should we need it. Eliminate places where wild rodents can exist close to humans, like brush, rock piles, trash, piles of lumber around homes, garages, and sheds, recreation areas. Taking precautions around pets can also reduce the risk of transmission. So that means treating dogs and cats for fleas, keeping pet food in rodent-proof containers, and not letting pets roam in rodent areas or sleep in a bed with you. Oh, you can't let your pet sleep in a bed with you? Come on. I once had one of those dog food containers. I have another one of them. I went out and bought another one. But it was very, very thick plastic. And it has a screw-on lid. So we'd take the dog food and we would put it in this container and we kept it in the garage. There was a rat in the garage who was apparently quite hungry and chewed through the plastic. And so there was a big rat hole in the bottom of the dog food. So now we don't keep it outside anymore. Now we keep it inside. But it's things like that. God, they'll do whatever they can to get a hold of the food, whatever it may be. Yeah, kind of scary when you hear there's a case of human plague. But again, happens sometimes. Just one of these things where, I guess, bad luck for that person. Can we talk for a moment about things that you really ought not to take through airport security? It seems kind of like a given that perhaps, say something like a hand grenade would be somewhat frowned upon. I'm just saying, maybe not something you really want to take through security. Here's this story about a hand grenade found by the TSA going through an airport in Hawaii, found in someone's carry-on. This is wild. Check out the pictures of this. I have to show it to you on this way because, yeah, look at that. So that's what it looks like as the carry-on passes through the TSA screening area, and they look in the bag and they find those. What? That if that isn't going to attract attention, I don't know what is. Come on. Yeah, you can't take that through security. No can do. Somebody tried it, though. It's amazing what they find going through airport security. Like, do people check their bags? Come on. 5:45 in the morning. 2 grenades found while TSA officers are conducting routine screenings on the carry-on bags. They noticed this suspicious item. I would say that's a little more than suspicious. Look at what they saw on their screen. Suspicious item. Yeah. Okay. So they noticed this suspicious item and It goes through the x-ray machine. They had to evacuate the whole area to protect the airport employees and the other departing travelers until an explosive specialist arrived at the airport. The grenades were in a carry-on bag belonging to a 41-year-old person from Japan who was going back home. When they took a closer look at them, or the bomb technicians took a closer look, they found the grenades were inactive and had been rendered powerless. They don't know where these came from or what this person intended to do with them. Whether that, look at that. If you saw someone holding that on a plane, you would probably do whatever they said to get you, you don't know if it's powerless or inert or whatever. So that's a pretty scary situation. But they say the person cooperated with officials. They are still undetermined, though, at this time, what the whole point of carrying them through security was. The person was arrested for a first-degree terroristic threatening, which is a Class C felony. Finally, about hour and a half later, they reopened the airport. And in case you needed the warning or the reminder from the TSA reminds everyone grenades of any type, including replicas, are not allowed in either checked or carry-on luggage. This according to the spokesperson for the TSA. When a traveler brings any type of grenade to the airport, it causes operations to shut down and delays travelers. Please be aware of the contents to your luggage prior to coming to the airport to avoid this type of situation from occurring. So the person is under arrest, in custody, now awaiting charges. This all went down in Honolulu. So, yeah. Oh, no. This was at Hilo International on the Big Island of Hawaii. So, come on. Really? Can you imagine being the person that working the TSA line and you're like, I think we need to shut everything down because that looks bad. Can you open your bag, ma'am? What? Wow. Yeah, not something you want to take to the airport. I'm telling you. No thanks. Then we talk about these poor people. They went up to the International Space Station, these two NASA astronauts, and they're stuck. Barry Butch Wilmore and Suni Williams, they're supposed to be on the International Space Station for 8 days. They've been up there for a month. A month. I would be a little upset. They're stuck up there. And so, I guess you don't often get to stay in space, so might as well have a good time. There they are, Butch and Suni. Yeah. They're stuck on the International Space Station, and they say they have a really good feeling their spacecraft will bring them home. Suni is the pilot of the Starliner, and the commander, Butch, they're addressing the media for the first time since their spacecraft, the Boeing Starliner, began experiencing problems, which have caused their mission to be extended indefinitely. Can you imagine? You're supposed to be there for 8 days, and now they're like, yeah. Then a month hits, and they're thinking, okay, this is indefinite. We don't know when we can bring you back. Whoa. The problems are with the propulsion system on the Boeing Starliner. And so that's what's caused the delay back to Earth. The Starliner's thrusters in the propulsion system overheated when fired and started leaking helium. The helium was used to pressurize the thrusters, and that looks to be what's connected to how frequently they are used. And that's the problem. So now NASA and Boeing are trying to duplicate the Starliner's thruster problems on a brand new unit that they have out at the White Sands Missile Range in New Mexico. And they're testing it, and they're trying to figure out a solution. And they say, we trust the tests we're doing are the ones we need to do to get the right answers, to give us the data that we need to come back. The folks say, we're absolutely confident that the mantra you've heard, failure is not an option here either. So since they're on the International Space Station for the unknown amount of time now, an extended duration, they were forced to take shelter in the spacecraft when that Russian satellite exploded nearby. If they needed to evacuate, Starliner may have struggled to get away from the space station. So, I mean, I don't know. Boeing says the astronauts are not stuck. There's no increased risk when we decide to bring Suni and Butch back to Earth. Starliner can stay in space. It can stay at dock to the International Space Station for 45 days or up to 72 days at a push, relying on backup systems. Is anybody worried about these two? I mean, maybe they're able to just climb aboard the International Space Station and ditch the Starliner and we'll figure out a different way to get them home. I don't know. What we know is that they might be able to get a lift with other crews. The Soyuz spacecraft from Russia is due to take 3 people back to Earth in September. SpaceX's Crew Dragon capsule should return in August. And the thinking is these 2 aren't in any danger. That's kind of scary, though. You know, they're not the only ones that have faced this type of problem. There was an astronaut, a NASA astronaut, that spent the longest continuous space flight by an American who was in orbit for 371 days. His return to Earth was delayed for 6 months because there was a coolant leak on his spacecraft. There was another one, this one from Russia, Valery Polyakov. He was in space in orbit for 437 days aboard the Mir space station. Although he was supposed to be up there for that long. But okay, I hope they get them back safely. I don't want to see anything bad happen. I mean, yikes. They're going to do something different at Target. And this is really kind of a, I don't know, changing of the times, another indication that times have changed, I guess. They're getting rid of, sorry, Suni and Butch, sayonara. They're getting rid of a certain form of payment at Target. Yeah. No, they're still taking cash, but coming soon, they won't take your check. Does anybody even write checks anymore? Apparently, there was some being passed over at Target, and now they don't want them. So they're going to stop accepting personal checks from customers starting July 15th. They are just the latest retailer that has decided to stop taking checks. They say it's rare to get them, but they're not going to do it anymore. That it makes lines longer, it takes more time. They're just not interested in taking your money in that fashion. The retail analysts at a company called Global Data say it's hardly surprising Target has decided to stop accepting checks. There will be small pockets of people, including probably more elderly customers, who will be upset that that type of payment is being phased out, but they will continue to accept other payment methods, including Apple Pay, Snap, which is I think the social services type of payment, Target Circle cards, the store card, cash, credit, and debit, just not checks anymore. Did you know, according to CNN, about 61% of Americans are still writing checks? Yeah, they did a study, this financial software solutions company called Abrigo, and it was done this year. And they found younger consumers, including Gen Z and millennials, self-reported writing more checks than older consumers from Gen X, which is interesting because they think it's the old people that are writing the checks, and not so much. Target, again, not the only store to stop taking checks. There's a grocery store called Aldi. They don't accept checks. Whole Foods, no checks at Whole Foods. So, yeah. It's a change to the retailer's checkout experience. They have limiting the number of items accepted at self-checkout counters to 10. They will allow store management to set hours of operation for self-checkout machines to try to cut down on retail theft. And they say they've also cut some prices as well. And now no checks at Target. So this is the way of things. There are certain things I think you can write checks for, like, I don't know, certain bills, or maybe you want to keep a record if you write a rent check type of thing. You want to have that canceled check or, whatever, to make sure that's kind of like a receipt that you paid. Maybe in these cases, but like to go around shopping, gosh, no, I mean, I still carry checks with me just in case. Might need to write one for a school field trip or something like that. Do you still write checks? I'm going to the chat. What do you think? Heather says, my rent is paid by direct bank transfer. My property management company uses an online portal app. I guess you would have the record in your bank account, right? To whom the bank transfer was made. So you don't necessarily need the canceled check. And Alto says landlords and B2B are a different story than retail. Yeah, I would agree with that as well. Sandy says, every place I've ever lived, the rent has been paid by check. Oh. Interesting. Aldi is the Southern Trader Joe's. Okay, I didn't know that. Mama says, I pay all my bills via check. I like having hard copies of my payments. Mama did 3 boys is old school. Wow. I mean, and we all have different ways we do things, right? It's interesting that I'll carry a couple checks in my wallet just in case I need to, usually for school reasons, but I don't usually carry cash in my wallet. I pay for everything with my debit card. Yeah. Also says, I pay check to contractors. Oh, yeah, that would make sense. SF Tesla says it's nice to pay your Target in-circle card with a check and cash back for $40, the limit. All right. Teacher Lori says we have an online portal for rent. Some small landlords want checks. Also DMV and post office. Yeah. Yeah, makes sense to me. You guys have maybe want to find an Aldi. Interesting. I've never been to one. So, I mean, yeah, and again, I think we all have the ways we do things, but it just seems like, I don't know why it seems like a big deal, but it just seems like the end of an era. The checks are going away, right? And that's the way it goes. I don't know. Here's an interesting story, and kind of a sad story as well. I don't mean to bring you down, partiers. They found these stone circles in, I think, Norway, and they tried to figure out exactly what these stone circles were. And then they realized these are grave markers for children that died. Yeah, this is a story out of Norway. And there's the stone circles you can see there. And it turns out this is a memorial of sorts. It's a carefully constructed burial site that dates back to the Bronze and the Iron Ages. A series of intricate stone circles that archaeologists found in southern Norway turned out to be the graves of several young children from the Bronze and the Iron Ages. They say the unique burial site has stone circles about 6 feet across, and that great care and consideration appears to have been taken since they were neatly placed together just a few inches below the ground. Several of the stones circles were positioned around a bigger stone at the center, and then there were burned bones and pottery shards underneath as well. So really interesting find with these stone circles out of Norway. You can see them there. Here's another picture where you can see it kind of from up above and a little more intricate. You could see the intricate details of what they tried to do with these stone circles. It's amazing to me that these lasted, that they're in this good of shape for this long. You would think that people would have kicked them around, or it would have been dislodged, or erosion, or, something. Yeah. So this team from the Norway Museum of Cultural History discovered the burial ground in the fall of 2023 near the town of Fredrikstad. It was uncovered by chance. The archaeologists were investigating a Stone Age settlement nearby. And they looked at this, and their analysis found that almost all of the burials contained the remains of children. Infants, others from 3 to 6 years old. They died between 800 and 200 BCE, about 2,500 years ago. And the team says they've lain here as a secret until we found them. We uncovered one after another and ended up with 41 round stone formations. The burial site appears to have been used over a long period of time, which indicates it wasn't some type of epidemic or disease outbreak or natural disaster. The area around the burial ground is lined with rock carvings that describe sun worship and various voyages. And the archaeologist team thinks this site was an open landscape where a lot of people could see them. There were cooking pits and fireplaces near the site, which maybe suggests that ceremonies or gatherings were held in connection with these burials as well. Each stone, you'll see all these stones, sourced from a different location and placed precisely. Yeah. And because they were small children, they think this was done with so much care. No, I thought that was an interesting story about traditions from the past and things we learn about. Oh, interesting. There's a scientific study, space study, that talks about the closest black hole. And they say that we shouldn't be alarmed. Really? Because there's a black hole that is closer than they thought the nearest one was. But now, apparently, it's 18 million light years away. Yeah, here's the picture. You can see it right there. Most likely position of the black hole. I mean, I don't think we're in any danger of getting sucked in anytime soon. But yes, astronomers have discovered what they think as of now is the Earth's closest black hole. 18,000 light years away, not million, my bad. Omega Centauri contains this intermediate mass black hole 18,000 light years away. It's closer to Earth than the supermassive Sagittarius A, which is at the center of the Milky Way galaxy. But they say we really don't need to panic because this is not a planetary threat. The center of the Omega Centauri star cluster does appear to confirm a long-standing theory about the nature of galactic formations and the extraordinary evidence. They have published this in the July 10th edition of the journal Nature. Now they've located dozens of these black holes across a range of massive sizes. The Sagittarius A, the one at the center of the Milky Way, is 27,000 light years from Earth. So that's known as a supermassive black hole with a mass equal to billions of suns. But I guess they don't come in only supermassive sizes. This is no, this is not a supermassive size. This is a kind of a medium black hole, is what you could call it, right? Yeah, I don't know. What is it? The Centauri Intermediate Mass Black Hole. Yeah, 18,000 light years away from Earth, a separate galactic core developed billions of years before the Milky Way ate it. Astronomers theorize that the core contained intermediate mass black holes. They've been unable to prove it, but thanks to a team led by researchers at the Max Planck Institute for Astronomy and the University of Utah, they may finally have been able to prove this hypothesis. So, this is the best candidate for an intermediate mass black hole, Omega Centauri. And there he is. So, I guess it's a little closer than they thought. Too close for comfort to me, but, I don't think we're at any risk. We've talked before about weird fabrics that we need to probably move toward when we look at ways to do better when it comes to waste on the earth. Here's a new fabric for you. This one is made out of bananas. Yeah. But you wear some banana pants, maybe your banana shirt. It's a future fabric, banana plants emerging as a source for making more sustainable materials. They have 4 examples, you see them here, of the plant, the banana plant, being transformed into a leather alternative and fabric clothing. So there it is. The fabric, it's called Banofi. It's a plant-based leather made from banana crop waste. It's been created to offer a vegan alternative to animal and plastic leather, also upcycling the waste from banana trees, which bear fruit just once in their lives. So what they do is they go to India and they get the banana crop waste from farmers in India. And then they take the fibers and extract them to create the main raw material. And they combine it with natural gums and adhesives, and they finish it with a synthetic coating to make it more durable. Banofi claims its leather in quotes, uses 95% less water, causes 90% less carbon emission than animal leather, and they hope to make this material fully bio-based in the near future. So, they're not the only company that's looking into this. There's another one called FIBA, F-I-I-B-A. They are looking at transforming the waste materials into a woven fabric designed as an alternative to cotton and viscose. And they also use banana crop waste. So, they say these banana trees, banana plants, because they're only, once the bananas bloom, they're done, I guess is the way it works. And the plants are often burned or left to rot. So this company FIBA dries out the fibers from the trees that have been felled and then treats and spins them into fabric. They think the main advantage of doing this is that it avoids the water usage and insecticides needed for growing cotton and deforestation caused by viscose production as well. So it's a new push to find fabrics that are not made from plastic, that are more sustainable, that suck up less from the environment and the world. There's another company doing this too. They're called Bananatex. That's my favorite name, company name. Bananatex. They're a canvas fabric made from abaca, which is a banana plant that doesn't need pesticides, fertilizer, or irrigation to grow. Bananatex, they say their plant can be planted with other plant species in eroded monocultures, palm trees, all types of things to increase biodiversity. So, and then there's Green Whisper. They're another company. They're extracting fibers from harvested banana tree trunks directly from the farmers' fields, mix it up with organic cotton, and they create a biodegradable fabric as well. So we could all be wearing banana fabric pants in the future. Really, why not? I don't have a problem with my banana shirt or banana pants or a banana dress. I think that's just fine. What do you think? Would you wear it? It doesn't look bad. I mean, if it felt sticky or stiff or weird, I don't know. I'm getting to the point where I'm willing to maybe do things, be uncomfortable, not use things as I have in the past, like plastics and things, even if it means it's not as easy for me. There's more of a risk of things breaking because they're glass. I'm willing to take the risk. I'm going to the chat. Are you wearing the banana dress, the banana pants? What do you think? Are you into it? Yeah. Not near squirrels. Otherwise, yes. Doug, I can always count on Doug. A banana hammock sounds fun to take a swing on. Yeah, I know. Sandy says, I don't see any reason not to wear fabric made from bananas. I strongly prefer natural fabrics. Absolutely. All right, let's talk about phones. Specifically in this case, although that looks like an Amazon phone, this is about iPhone voice replication. And it turns out that your voice will soon be able to be replicated after 15 minutes of training on your phone. This is announced yesterday by Apple. A series of new accessibility tools for the iPhone and the iPad include a feature that promises to replicate a user's voice for phone calls after only 15 minutes of training. It's called Personal Voice, and users will be able to read text prompts to record audio and then have the technology learn their voice. I don't know if you want the technology to learn your voice. Do we want that? Are we good with technology learning our voice? I don't know. I'm a little freaked out by that. Because what else are they going to do with it, right? I don't know if I want them to be able to replicate me in this fashion like this. This personal voice tool, you read the text prompt to record the audio, have the technology learn your voice, and then a related feature called live speech uses your synthesized voice to read your typed text aloud during phone calls. FaceTime conversations and in-person conversations as well. So people will be able to save commonly used phrases to use during live conversations. It's almost like you're Mark Thompson playing a bunch of drops in the middle of the conversation. The feature, they say, is one of several aimed at making Apple's devices more inclusive for people with cognitive, vision, hearing, or mobility disabilities. Apple says people who may have conditions where they lose their voice over time, like someone with ALS perhaps, could benefit most from these tools. And Apple says it's all about accessibility. These groundbreaking features, designed with feedback from members of disabled communities every step of the way to support a diverse set of users and help people connect in new ways. So they're going to roll this out later this year. And I don't know. There are a lot of alarms raised about bad actors, using fake audio, fake voices. I don't know if you saw that movie Thelma that Tim Sika recommended, and I think Michael Snyder also recommended it, where this woman gets a phone call from someone pretending to be her grandson who's in court and needs money to get out of jail and hit some pregnant woman in a car accident. It never happened. And they didn't even do a very good job at faking his voice. But now they can. I told my mom, if you ever get a phone call and it sounds like me or my sister, say, okay, thank you very much for calling. Where can I reach you? And then hang up and call my number directly or walk next door and talk to me and make sure, right? I mean, because anybody can take your voice, especially mine's all over YouTube. So, yeah. So that's going to be out later this year. It uses on-device machine learning to keep users' information supposedly private and secure. We'll see. There are other tech companies that have tried to get in with this type of technology as well. So Apple isn't the only one. And I do like the idea that there will be more accessibility for people that need that. But on the other hand, it comes with a whole set of issues, doesn't it? Yeah. Here's another one of these stories where people are doing something nice for creatures in the world. And this has to do with a species of toad. These sweet little toads. I'll show the picture to you, because can't do the story without a picture of toads. We need to see the toads. Bring on the toads. Here's the toads. There they are. You see them? There's two of them there. Yeah. So the San Francisco, it seems like I'm messing it up. Okay. The San Francisco Zoo is getting involved in releasing these threatened toads, or toads that were once threatened, into the area near Yosemite National Park. Yeah. Into this ecosystem here. These small but significant toads, reared by the conservation team at the San Francisco Zoo for the purpose of being released in this area that was deemed to be a suitable habitat for them. The Yosemite toads are found only in the Sierra Nevada, and Yosemite National Park is a significant portion of the range for this species. These toads survive in the higher elevation areas, 6,400 to 11,300 feet. The majority of the sites between 8,500 and 10,000 feet in the Sierra Nevada, where few amphibians can survive. So they're very important to this area. So they have the Yosemite Toad Project. They reared them, and they're reintroducing them now over the course of the next 5 years. They have little tiny radio transmitters attached to 30 of the toads that they released, so they can track their movements and make sure they're all right. The population of these creatures declined by 50%. And at one point, they were added to the list of federally threatened species. That was in 2014. So now they're being released back into their area. And I love it. I love the thought that they have these little radio transmitters. And there's somebody, nearby just making sure the toads are all right, that everything is going okay for them. Something good people are doing for animals. I mean, you don't want these guys to go extinct. I have a close-up picture. You can kind of see a little bit better the little micro transmitter. Here it is. You can see that little thing sticking on his back. And there he is. Yep. Living his best life in Yosemite. Look at that. Very cool. Should we do another story? This one. I hate to end with something a little political, but let's just poke a little fun instead of get political about it. They have a new sign in Florida. Of course they do. And it's based on, we think it's based on something that was said by Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. Hey, Wes, how you doing? How my people in Florida? And what he said was, there's, get to the quote. The sign says, you can see here, hurry back to the free state of Florida. There's another sign on the other side of it that says, welcome to the free state of Florida. And so this whole free state of Florida thing was first mentioned by Governor DeSantis at his second inaugural address in January of 2023. And they say it's become a signature for DeSantis, who uses this phrase all the time at various news conferences and bill signings as well. We don't know exactly how many of these signs are placed or what the cost was for it. But here it is, the free state of Florida. The state of Florida puts on this, on their Twitter feed, there is no better way to celebrate Independence Day weekend than with this sign, the free state of Florida. So there you go. I guess, it's good. We know exactly where we're going. We don't want to have any bones about it. There it is, the free state of Florida. Wow. All right, I'm doing one more story because I really want to. Can I? Will you guys stay with me for it? Please, oh please. How about this runner? This guy, he's doing it for a really good reason. But can you imagine running in this heat? He's a good-looking fella. Gotta tell you that. Yeah, he's a really good-looking fellow. I think I have him. He's from the UK, and he's running for charity. And he's running through deserts. He's a reality TV star kind of guy. And he's decided that he's going to run. He's going to run through some pretty sketchy places as well. So, his name is Spencer Matthews. He's going to run 30 marathons in 30 days, all through scorching deserts. This is all for charity and about how his history with alcohol brought him to where he is today. So he's 35. He's an endurance athlete. He's a podcaster. He's an entrepreneur. And he's done at least 3 ultra marathons, one in the Amazon rainforest, one in the Arctic. So he's used to being in extreme conditions. He also took part in a race in the Sahara Desert called the toughest foot race on Earth. That was a 7-day, 250-kilometer ultramarathon. So he's not a stranger to this type of thing, but he's going to do what they say the equivalent is of 5 of those races back to back. Yeah, 786 miles completely on sand, temperatures likely to average very, very warm. I don't have the exact, but he told Sky News that he'll start near the Wadi Rum on the edge of the Arabian Desert and he'll finish near the Dead Sea. And he says nothing of this kind has ever been done before. We've never seen anything like it. To meet the world record criteria, He has to stay on sand and only sand. A layer of sand over a field of grass would not qualify. So only sand, and all marathon runs have to be finished within 6 hours. Wild. So he said, when considering a challenge like this, there are obviously very personal elements to it. In this case, there's also hopefully a large charitable element to it as well. And when you finish, he said, there's this kind of beautiful sense of accomplishment. And it's a nice feeling that's very personal, particularly if you've come from a place of abusing alcohol for many years and feeling somewhat ashamed of yourself. He said, I sometimes think of myself a few years ago and I get kind of a sickly feeling. And he said this helps continue to help himself continue to drive forward. He said, I sometimes think about the days where I used to drink whiskey really early in the day and find any excuse to have a drink and would drink daily. And I look back at those times and I struggle to understand. I don't think, he said, me now and myself 5-10 years ago would even be friends, he said, because we have nothing in common. And so he's going to go. Yeah, he's going to go and do this thing. I don't know. With temperatures increasing, I mean, we saw how dangerous it is in the deserts in California. I sure hope he has a good team behind him that won't let anything happen to him, because that's a little bit scary to me. Here's another picture of him. Maybe I'm doing the story just because I like to look at him. I don't know. I might be a little cougar-y here, but there he goes, running through the desert. Yeah, hope he's okay. That is the After Party Live. Hope you enjoyed the view, and thank you for being here. Huge thank you to everyone who supports this show and who spends time in the afternoon hanging out. Really grateful. Marilyn throwing down a $3 super sticker. Marilyn Gunning, thank you. Thank you very much for that. So appreciated. You can find the PayPal link. It is in the show description. It is also on the About tab. The hyperlink, or the link that you just click on, is in the About tab here on YouTube under After Party at the top. So you can find it there as well. All right, tomorrow is Trivia Thursday. So we'll do some trivia tomorrow. I've got a great Nikki Maduro show planned and a great Mark Thompson show as well. I will see you back here on YouTube. Hope you go out there and make it a really good day. And I'll see you tomorrow. But for now, bye-bye.
The After Party Live would like to thank the following contributors and viewers like you.